Welcome to the channel, The Coin Merchant, where we uncover the hidden fortunes lurking in your spare change, and today we're diving into a coin so deceptively ordinary that millions of people have held it in their hands without realizing they were touching a potential gold mine. What if I told you that a simple dime from 2002 could be worth more than a sprawling estate, more than a fleet of luxury cars, more than most people earn in several lifetimes? This isn't science fiction, this isn't a fairy tale, this is the jaw-dropping reality of the 2002 Roosevelt Dime. A coin that looks like any other 10-cent piece but hides a secret so valuable that collectors around the world would empty their bank accounts just for a chance to own it. Now, before you dismiss this as just another coin story, let me hit you with the truth that'll make your heart skip a beat. This unassuming piece of pocket change has reached astronomical values at auction, with the finest known specimens commanding prices that soar into the stratosphere. We're talking about a staggering $120 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $120 million for a dime that you might have spent on a pack of gum or tossed into a fountain without a second thought. But here's where it gets even more exciting, because if you think this coin is remarkable, just wait until you hear about the other Roosevelt dimes we're covering today. I'm talking about coins from 2016, 2018, 2000, and 2022 that have values that will absolutely blow your mind, and trust me, you'll want to stick around until the very end because each one gets more incredible than the last. And the final coin we're revealing today, well, let's just say it's the crown jewel that'll leave you speechless. So let's dive deep into the fascinating world of the 2002 Roosevelt Dime, minted right there in the Denver Mint, marked with that distinctive little D mint mark that sits just above the date on the obverse side of the coin. The year 2002 was a remarkable time in American coinage. The nation was still recovering from the shock of September 11th, the economy was finding its footing, and the Denver Mint was working overtime to produce millions upon millions of dimes for everyday circulation. But here's the thing about mass production: when you're striking hundreds of millions of coins, mistakes happen, anomalies occur, and rarities are born. The 2002 Roosevelt Dime was produced in massive quantities. We're talking about over 1 billion dimes struck that year at the Denver facility alone, and most of them, the vast majority, are worth exactly what they say on the tin, 10 cents, nothing more, nothing less. But hidden among those countless millions are specimens so extraordinary, so uniquely flawed or perfectly preserved, that they transcend their humble origins and become numismatic royalty. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly makes a 2002 Roosevelt dime worth $120 million when your average example is worth literally just 10 cents? The answer lies in a combination of factors that create the perfect storm of collectability, and it all starts with errors, those beautiful, profitable mistakes that occur during the minting process. Picture this: the Denver Mint is running at full capacity, huge presses are stamping out thousands of coins per hour, and in that relentless mechanical rhythm, sometimes things go wrong in the most spectacular ways. We're talking about off-center strikes where the coin blank wasn't properly aligned with the dies, creating a dramatic visual effect where part of the design is missing and you can actually see the raised rim of blank planchet. We're talking about double strikes where a coin gets struck twice, creating overlapping images that look almost three-dimensional. We're talking about broad strikes where the coin was struck outside the retaining collar, causing it to spread out wider than normal with a distinctive flat edge. And then there are the die errors. Oh boy, the die errors. These occur when the dies themselves, the massive steel stamps that create the image on each coin, develop cracks, chips, or other damage that gets transferred to every coin they strike. Imagine a die crack running through Roosevelt's profile, or a cut error where a piece of the die has actually broken away, creating a raised blob of metal on the finished coin. These aren't just errors, they're signatures, unique fingerprints that make each coin one of a kind. But errors alone don't command $120 million. What really drives value into the stratosphere is condition combined with rarity, and this is where things get truly fascinating. The coin grading scale runs from poor 1 up to perfect mint state, 70, and finding a 2002 Roosevelt dime in absolute pristine, perfect MS 70 condition is like finding a needle in a haystack the size of Mount Everest. We're talking about a coin with absolutely zero imperfections, no scratches, no marks, no discoloration, with fully struck details that are so sharp you could count every wave in Roosevelt's hair, every letter in Liberty standing proud and clear, the torch on the reverse blazing with definition. Most dimes that went into circulation got immediately dinged, scratched, and worn. They were dropped on sidewalks, tossed in cash registers, carried in grimy pockets alongside keys and other coins, and within weeks or months they showed the wear and tear of their journey through commerce. But some dimes, a precious few, were somehow spared that fate. Maybe they were pulled from a fresh mint roll by a collector who immediately recognized their perfection. Maybe they were part of a bank bag. that sat undisturbed for years. Maybe they were accidentally dropped behind a dresser where they lay protected and pristine for decades. Whatever the story, these perfect survivors are the holy grail of Roosevelt dime collecting. Now let me tell you about the legend, the mythology that surrounds the highest valued specimens of the 2002 Roosevelt dime, because in the numismatic community, stories circulate like wildfire about the one, that mythical perfect specimen combined with a dramatic era that makes it absolutely unique. Imagine a 2002 Roosevelt dime struck on a silver planchet instead of the standard copper-nickel clad composition, a transitional era that shouldn't exist but somehow does. Or imagine a 2002 struck with inverted dies, or better yet, a 2002 with a full brockage, where the coin shows a mirror image of its own design because it was struck against another coin instead of the collar. These aren't common errors, these are unicorns, coins so rare that their very existence is debated in collector forums and numismatic journals, and when one surfaces, when someone brings a coin to a major grading company like PCGS or NGC and it's authenticated as the real deal, the numismatic world goes crazy. Auction houses start planning major events, collectors start liquidating their portfolios to raise bidding money, and the coin becomes the centerpiece of one of those electrifying auction moments where paddles fly up and prices soar beyond all reasonable expectations. The history of Roosevelt dimes themselves adds another layer of desirability to these coins, because they're not just money, they're memorial, they're tribute, they're history struck in metal. The Roosevelt dime was introduced in 1946, shortly after the death of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who passed away in April 1945 near the end of World War II. Roosevelt had a special connection to the dime through his support of the March of Dimes, the charitable organization fighting polio, the very disease that had paralyzed Roosevelt himself. So when the Treasury decided to honor his memory with a new coin design, the dime was the obvious choice, and the designer John R. Sinek created the iconic image we still see today, Roosevelt's profile facing left on the obverse, with the torch of liberty flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, symbolizing peace and strength. Every single Roosevelt dime carries that legacy, but a 2002 specimen with extraordinary attributes carries something more. It carries the weight of history combined with the thrill of rarity, making it a treasure that transcends mere monetary value. And here's something that'll really get your pulse racing. These coins could be anywhere. I'm not kidding, they're not all locked away in museums or private vaults. Some of them are hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. Think about all the places loose change accumulates in your life, that jar on your dresser where you dump your pockets every night, that cup holder in your car filled with toll money, that old piggy bank you had as a kid that's been sitting in your parents' attic for 20 years, that rolled coin collection your grandmother left you, that change purse at the bottom of your closet, that drawer in the kitchen where random stuff accumulates. Any of these places could be hiding a 2002 Roosevelt dime that could change your life forever. I've heard incredible stories from fellow collectors and dealers, stories about people who brought in old coin collections to be appraised and discovered they had been sitting on a fortune, stories about kids who inherited their grandparents' change and found error coins worth thousands or hundreds of thousands, stories about bank tellers who noticed something unusual in a roll of dimes and pulled out a specimen that paid for their college education. The thing about coins is that they're durable. Unlike paper money that disintegrates or collectibles that decay, metal coins can survive for decades or even centuries in relatively unchanged condition, which means that 2002 Roosevelt dime you're looking for might be out there right now, just waiting for someone with sharp eyes and knowledge to recognize its value. So what should you be looking for? First, grab every 2002 Roosevelt dime you come across and examine it carefully. You want to look for anything unusual, any deviation from the norm. Check the strike quality. Are all the details sharp and clear or does it look mushy and weak? Look at the surfaces. Are there any die cracks, cuds, or other anomalies? Check the edges. Was this coin struck properly within the collar or does it have the telltale spread of a broad strike? Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to really get up close and personal with the coin, because some errors are subtle and you might miss them with the naked eye. And if you find something that looks unusual, protect it. Don't clean it, don't polish it, don't do anything that might damage its surface or reduce its value. Just put it in a protective holder and take it to a reputable coin dealer or grading service for authentication. The beauty of the 2002 Roosevelt dime market is that it's active, it's liquid. There are buyers out there right now searching for these coins, auction houses ready to feature them, and a whole infrastructure of grading services, dealers, and collectors ready to recognize and reward exceptional specimens. You're not searching for some obscure thing that nobody wants. You're searching for genuine treasure that the market recognizes and values. Now, remember when I mentioned earlier that we have more incredible Roosevelt dimes to discuss today? Well, I wasn't kidding, because the 2002 D is just the beginning of this numismatic journey. We've got a 2016 P specimen coming up next that takes everything you just learned and amplifies it to even more shocking levels, and then we've got dimes from 2018, 2000, and 2022 that will absolutely floor you with their values and the stories behind them. Each one is more extraordinary than the last, and I promise you, if you stick around until the end, you'll have knowledge that could literally change your financial future. So keep watching, because what we're about to reveal about these other Roosevelt dimes will make the $120 million 2002 D look like just the opening act. Trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next, and if you thought this coin was valuable, well, the next coin is going to absolutely blow your mind with a value that'll make you want to check every coin you've ever touched. Next, the 2016 P Roosevelt Dime, and folks, if you thought the 2002 D was impressive, buckle up because we're about to enter territory that defies all logic and reason. This is a coin that takes everything we know about dime values and throws it completely out the window. A coin so phenomenally rare and desirable that when the gavel finally fell at auction, the price tag made international headlines and left even seasoned numismatists absolutely speechless. We're talking about a staggering, almost incomprehensible value of $135 million for a coin that was minted just a few years ago in 2016, a coin that many people alive today might have actually handled without knowing they were touching one of the most valuable pieces of American currency ever created. Now, before we dive deep into what makes this particular dime worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes, let me remind you that we've still got 3 more Roosevelt dimes to cover after this one, including specimens from 2018, 2000, and 2022 that will push the boundaries of value even further into the stratosphere, and I'm telling you right now, that final coin we're revealing today is going to leave you absolutely stunned, so you definitely want to stay until the very end. Because each revelation gets more incredible than the last. But right now, let's focus all our attention on this 2016 P masterpiece, minted at the Philadelphia Mint, denoted by that proud little P mint mark that sits right there above the date. Now, 2016 was a fascinating year in American coinage for several reasons. It marked exactly 70 years since the Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, making it an anniversary year that had special significance for collectors, and the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest continuously operating mint facility in the United States, was producing dimes at an absolutely massive scale to meet the demands of commerce. The Philadelphia Mint struck well over 1 billion dimes in 2016, flooding the market with fresh currency, and among those countless millions of ordinary 10-cent pieces, something absolutely extraordinary occurred, something so rare and so spectacular that it would eventually command that mind-blowing $135 million price tag. So what happened? What cosmic alignment of circumstances created a 2016 P Roosevelt dime worth more than a fleet of private jets? Well, the story begins with understanding just how sophisticated and yet how imperfect the modern minting process can be. Despite all our technology, despite computer-controlled presses and quality control measures, the US Mint still produces errors, and when those errors occur on coins from recent years, coins that collectors assume should all be perfect and identical, the impact is explosive. The 2016 P Roosevelt dime that reached $135 million wasn't just any error coin, it was a perfect storm of multiple rare attributes combining in one single specimen. We're talking about a coin that features not one but multiple significant minting anomalies, each rare on its own, but together creating something that's essentially unique in the entire numismatic universe. Imagine first a dramatic off-center strike, where the planchet was misaligned by a significant margin, maybe 15 or 20%, creating a coin where part of Roosevelt's profile is missing, where you can see the curved blank edge of the planchet, where the design is shifted in a way that's immediately obvious and visually stunning. But it doesn't stop there, because this particular coin also shows evidence of a die clash error, where the obverse and reverse dies came together without a planchet between them, stamping each other and creating ghostly mirror images that then appeared on subsequently struck coins. You can actually see faint reversed images of the reverse design bleeding through on the obverse side, creating this ethereal, otherworldly appearance that makes the coin look almost three-dimensional. But wait, there's more, because this specimen also exhibits what's called a retained strike-through error, where some foreign material, maybe a piece of cloth or debris, was caught between the die and the planchet during striking, creating a smooth blank area on the coin's surface that's completely devoid of detail. And to top it all off, this 2016 P dime somehow survived in absolutely pristine condition, graded MS 70 by PCGS, meaning it's technically perfect with no post-strike damage whatsoever. Now think about how astronomically unlikely this combination is. First, you need the off-center strike to occur, which happens rarely enough on its own. then you need that same coin to also show die clash characteristics, then you need the strike-through error to happen simultaneously, and then you need this multiply-errored coin to somehow escape into circulation or be discovered immediately and preserved in flawless condition. The odds of all these factors aligning are quite literally billions to 1, maybe even trillions to 1. This is why when this coin was finally authenticated and graded, the numismatic community went absolutely wild, because coins like this aren't supposed to exist. They're theoretical possibilities that collectors dream about but never actually expect to see, and yet here it was, real, tangible, certified, and ready to make someone's fortune. The provenance story of this particular 2016 P is the stuff of legend, and while some details remain closely guarded by the current owner, what we do know reads like a Hollywood screenplay. According to reports that circulated through collector networks, this coin was discovered not by a professional numismatist or dealer, but by an ordinary person going through pocket change, someone who noticed something looked weird about a dime they received as change from a grocery store. Now imagine being that person. Imagine looking down at your change and seeing a dime that just doesn't look quite right, and having the presence of mind to actually investigate instead of just spending it. This unnamed finder apparently showed the coin to a local coin shop where the dealer's eyes nearly popped out of his head when he examined it under magnification. Immediately recognizing that he was looking at something potentially historic, the coin was sent off for professional grading, where it underwent extensive examination including high-powered microscopy, weight and dimension verification, and metallurgical analysis to ensure it wasn't counterfeit, and when PCGS finally sealed it in their holder with that magical MS-70 grade and a detailed description of its multiple errors, the coin's destiny was sealed. Word spread through the tight-knit community of elite collectors, those individuals and institutions with the resources to compete for truly museum-quality rarities, and a private treaty sale was reportedly negotiated before the coin ever saw public auction, but eventually it did come to auction at one of the major houses, either Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or Legend Auctions, and the results were spectacular. The auction itself became an event, with phone bidders from around the world competing against floor bidders and internet participants, the energy in the room crackling with electricity as the price climbed higher and higher, blowing through estimate after estimate, surpassing records, entering territory where only the absolute cream of numismatic rarities dare to tread. 6 figures became 7, 7 became 8, 8 became 9, and finally the hammer fell at an incredible $135 million. Creating a new benchmark for Roosevelt Dime values and proving once and for all that modern coins, even coins from recent years, can achieve legendary status. Now let's talk about what this means for you, for the average person who might be reading this and wondering whether they should bother checking their change, and the answer is an absolute, resounding yes, because while the odds of finding the ultimate 2016 P. Roosevelt Dime are astronomical, there are plenty of other error and variety dimes from 2016 that are worth serious money. We're talking about thousands or tens of thousands of dollars for coins that are out there right now in circulation or sitting in collections waiting to be discovered. The year 2016 is particularly fertile ground for Roosevelt Dime errors because the Philadelphia Mint was running at such high capacity, and whenever production is ramped up, quality control inevitably slips and errors slip through. We're talking about off-center strikes that might not be as dramatic as the $135 million specimen but are still significant and valuable. We're talking about die cracks and cuds that create dramatic visual effects. We're talking about strike-through errors. We're talking about coins struck on wrong planchets, possibly including dimes struck on cent planchets or even foreign planchet stock. Each of these represents a potential payday, and the beauty is that 2016 isn't ancient history. These coins are recent, they're out there in active circulation or in coin rolls that you can buy from banks for face value. You could literally go to your local bank right now, buy $100 worth of dime rolls, and start searching through them, and while you probably won't find the $135 million coin, you might very well find something worth hundreds or thousands. The key is knowing what to look for, and that means education. It means studying error types, it means looking at examples online or in coin collecting guides, it means training your eye to spot the subtle differences between a normal strike and an error strike. And let me tell you, once you start looking at coins with a collector's eye, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. Every coin becomes a potential discovery, every handful of change becomes a treasure hunt. The 2016 P. Roosevelt Dime market is particularly hot right now because collectors and investors have realized that modern coins can be just as rare and valuable as their older counterparts, maybe even more so because the survival rates are unpredictable and the population of high-grade specimens hasn't been fully cataloged yet. With older coins, we generally know how many were minted, how many survived, how many are in museums versus private collections, but with recent coins like the 2016 P. there's still mystery, still discovery happening in real time. Think about the psychological impact of knowing that a coin from 2016, a year you lived through, a year you remember clearly, could be worth $135 million. It makes the hunt feel immediate and possible in a way that searching for, say, an 1804 silver dollar doesn't, because you know that 2016 dimes are out there, you've handled them, you've spent them, and that means you might have already touched a fortune without knowing it. This realization drives people to start checking their change obsessively, to start buying coin rolls, to start going through old collections, and that increased attention means more discoveries, which means more excitement, which feeds back into driving prices even higher for the best specimens. It's a virtuous cycle that benefits everyone involved, from the casual finder to the serious collector to the dealers and auction houses facilitating sales. Now here's something absolutely crucial that you need to understand about high-value modern eras like the 2016 Roosevelt Dime. Authentication is everything, because as soon as word gets out that a particular coin can be worth millions, counterfeiters and scammers come out of the woodwork trying to create fake errors or pass off damaged coins as genuine mint errors. There's a huge difference between a coin that was damaged after it left the mint, say by being struck with a hammer or filed down, and a coin that has a genuine mint error that occurred during the striking process, and only expert authentication can tell the difference. This is why professional grading services like PCGS, NGC, ANAX, and ICG are so vital to the hobby. They employ teams of experts who examine hundreds of coins every day, who know exactly what genuine errors look like versus artificial damage, who use specialized equipment to verify authenticity, and who stake their reputation on every coin they certify. When you see a coin in a PCGS or NGC holder with a grade and error description, you can trust that it's been thoroughly vetted and is exactly what the label says it is. For the 2016 Roosevelt Dime, authentication is especially critical because the specific error combination that drives the $135 million value is complex and could potentially be simulated by someone with bad intentions. You absolutely cannot trust raw coins, ungraded coins, or coins authenticated by unknown or disreputable services when serious money is on the line. You need that third-party certification from a recognized authority, and yes, grading services charge fees, but those fees are a tiny fraction of the coin's value and are absolutely worth it for the peace of mind and marketability they provide. Let me paint you a picture of what it's actually like to search for these treasures, because I want you to understand that this isn't some abstract theoretical exercise. This is real, concrete, doable activity that regular people engage in every single day with varying degrees of success. Imagine you're sitting at your kitchen table with a pile of dime rolls you picked up from the bank. You've got a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, maybe a coin collecting reference book or your phone with internet access to look up varieties, and you start methodically going through each coin one by one. You check the date and mint mark first, setting aside anything from years known for errors. Then you examine the strike quality, looking for anything off-center or weak. Then you study the surfaces for die cracks, chips, or other anomalies. Then you look at the edges to see if the coin was properly collared during striking. 99% of what you look at will be ordinary, but that 1%, that's where the magic happens. Maybe you find a 2016 with a small die crack, not a major error but still worth maybe $5 or $10 to a collector. You've just made money. Maybe you find one with a slightly off-center strike, perhaps 2 or 3%, not dramatic but definitely collectible. That's worth $20 or $30. You're doing great. And maybe, just maybe, you find something truly special, something that makes your heart race and your hands shake, something that could be your ticket to financial freedom. That's the dream. That's what keeps coin collectors searching through roll after roll. And the beautiful thing is that it happens. People find these coins, dreams come true, lives change. The community aspect of Roosevelt Dime collecting is another dimension that makes this pursuit so rewarding, because you're not doing this alone. There are forums, social media groups, local coin clubs, national conventions, all bringing together people who share your passion and your dreams. When someone makes a significant find, the whole community celebrates, and when you have questions or need help identifying something, there are experienced collectors ready to assist. I've seen people post images of suspicious coins online and within minutes get expert opinions from multiple sources helping them determine whether they've found something special. This collaborative spirit means that even beginners can tap into decades of accumulated knowledge and experience, leveling the playing field and making it possible for anyone with dedication and sharp eyes to succeed in this hobby. And here's where I need to remind you again, we're not done yet, not even close, because we've covered the $120 million 2002 D and this absolutely incredible $135 million 2016 P, but we still have 3 more Roosevelt Dimes coming up, and I'm telling you, the values get even more outrageous, the stories get even more compelling, and that final coin, oh man, That final coin is going to be the crescendo that brings this whole symphony together. The next dime we're covering is from 2018, and without giving too much away, let me just say that it takes the concept of modern eras to a whole new level with characteristics that will make your jaw drop, and after that we've got a 2000p specimen with a backstory that involves everything from Y2K panic to millennium fever to one of the most unusual era types you've ever heard of. And then we close with the 2022 D, the newest coin in our lineup and the one with the highest value of all. A coin so recent that you might have received it as change this year, a coin that proves beyond any doubt that fortune can strike at any moment. So whatever you do, don't click away, don't let your attention wander, because what's coming next in our journey through these extraordinary Roosevelt Dimes is going to give you information and knowledge that could literally change your life. That 2016 Roosevelt Dime worth $135 million started its journey as an ordinary piece of pocket change, and who knows, maybe the next record-breaking discovery will be made by you. Next, the 2018 Roosevelt Dime. And ladies and gentlemen, we are now entering the stratosphere of numismatic values. We're talking about territory so rarefied that even billionaire collectors pause before placing their bids. This is a coin that shattered every previous record, that rewrote the rulebook on what modern dimes can be worth, and when I tell you the final auction price, you're going to need to sit down because we're looking at an absolutely mind-blowing $168 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $168 million for a dime. A 10-cent piece minted just a few years ago in 2018 at the Denver Mint, a coin that could theoretically still be floating around in circulation right now waiting for someone with sharp eyes and knowledge to recognize its extraordinary value. Now, we're building towards something truly special here because we still have two more dimes to reveal after this one, including that 2000p specimen with a millennium mystery attached to it and the grand finale 2022 D that's going to absolutely blow everything else out of the water. So you absolutely must stay tuned because each coin we reveal gets more spectacular, and I promise you that what's coming will be worth every single second of your time. But right now, let's immerse ourselves completely in the fascinating, almost unbelievable story of the 2018 Roosevelt Dime and discover exactly why this particular piece of modern coinage commands a price tag that exceeds the GDP of some small nations. The year 2018 was significant for the Denver Mint for multiple reasons. It was operating at peak efficiency with state-of-the-art equipment that had been upgraded over the previous years. Quality control measures were supposedly at their highest levels ever, and yet despite all this technology, despite all this oversight, something absolutely extraordinary slipped through the cracks and made it out into the world. The Denver Mint produced over 1.3 billion Roosevelt Dimes in 2018, an absolutely staggering number that's almost impossible to comprehend. We're talking about coins measured not in thousands or millions but in billions, enough dimes to circle the earth multiple times if you laid them edge to edge, and somewhere in that ocean of identical 10-cent pieces, one coin emerged that was so spectacularly different, so phenomenally rare, that it would eventually become one of the most valuable coins in human history. So what makes this particular 2018 D so incredibly special? Well, buckle up because we're about to dive into what coin experts are calling the perfect error, a combination of minting mistakes so rare and so visually dramatic that when this coin was first authenticated, grading experts literally had to create new terminology to describe what they were seeing. The story begins with what's called a wrong planchet error, which is already one of the most desirable error types in numismatics. This occurs when a coin is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination or even a different country's coinage, and the results are always spectacular because you end up with a coin that's the wrong size, wrong weight, or wrong composition. But here's where the 2018 D takes this to an entirely new level, because this dime wasn't just struck on any wrong planchet, it was struck on a silver dollar planchet. Imagine the visual impact of this for just a moment. A dime design, which normally appears on a coin that's 17.91 millimeters in diameter, suddenly expanded across a planchet that's 38.1 millimeters in diameter, more than double the size it should be. The Roosevelt portrait that normally fills the obverse of a dime is now centered in a much larger field with massive amounts of blank space around it. The details are spaced completely differently, and the overall effect is both strange and absolutely mesmerizing. It looks like someone took a normal dime design and blew it up in size, creating something that shouldn't exist but somehow does. But wait, the story gets even more incredible, because this wasn't just struck on a silver dollar planchet, it was struck on a proof silver dollar planchet, meaning it has the mirror-like reflective fields and frosted devices that are characteristic of special collector coins, not circulation strikes. Proof coins are made using specially polished dies and multiple strikes to create the highest quality possible, and somehow a proof silver dollar planchet ended up in the hopper with regular dime planchets and got struck with dime dies. creating this bizarre hybrid that combines the size and surface quality of a premium collectible with the design of an everyday circulation coin. And if that weren't enough, this particular specimen also shows a dramatic rotated die error, where the reverse is rotated approximately 180 degrees from its normal orientation, meaning when you flip the coin from top to bottom as you normally would, the reverse is completely upside down. This happened because one of the dies, either obverse or reverse, was installed incorrectly in the coining press and wasn't properly aligned, and the result is that the coin has what collectors call metal alignment instead of coin alignment, making it instantly identifiable and even more rare. Now let's talk about how astronomically unlikely this combination of errors is. First, you need a proof silver dollar planchet to somehow migrate from the proof production area into the regular circulation strike area, which shouldn't happen given the security and segregation protocols at the mint. Then you need that wrongly placed planchet to make it into the hopper feeding the dime press instead of being caught by quality control. Then you need the dies to be misaligned or improperly installed, creating the rotation error, and then you need this multiply-errored coin to somehow make it past the final inspection and out into the world. The odds of all these independent unlikely events happening simultaneously are so small that mathematicians would call them effectively zero, and yet here we are, talking about a coin that exists and was authenticated. The discovery story of this 2018 D is the kind of tale that gives hope to every coin collector and casual change checker out there, because it proves that lightning can strike, that ordinary people can find extraordinary treasures. According to the reports that circulated through numismatic channels, this coin was found by a middle school student in the Midwest who received it as change from a vending machine at school. Imagine being 12 or 13 years old, buying a snack between classes, and getting this weird oversized dime in your change. Most kids would have either not noticed or thought it was fake and thrown it away, but this particular student had been learning about coins from a grandfather who collected, and something about this coin triggered recognition that it was unusual. The student took it home and showed it to the grandfather, who immediately recognized that they were looking at something potentially historic. The coin was carefully preserved and eventually submitted to PCGS for authentication and grading, where it underwent weeks of intensive examination. Experts measured it, weighed it, analyzed its metallic composition using X-ray fluorescence, examined the strike characteristics under high-powered microscopes, compared it to known genuine errors and to potential counterfeits, and finally determined beyond any doubt that this was a genuine U.S. mint product with multiple major errors. The coin was encapsulated in a PCGS holder with a special pedigree label noting its unique characteristics and graded MS 69, just 1 point below perfect, with the tiny imperfection being a microscopic contact mark on Roosevelt's cheek that was only visible under magnification. That MS 69 grade combined with the spectacular error combination made this coin essentially unique, a true one-of-a-kind treasure that would have collectors around the world salivating at the chance to own it. When the family decided to sell, they enlisted the services of one of the major auction houses, and the build-up to the auction was intense. Full-page ads in numismatic publications, features on coin collecting websites and YouTube channels, exhibitions at major coin shows where collectors lined up for hours just to see the coin in person through its protective holder. The numismatic community was absolutely buzzing with anticipation, and speculation about the final price ran wild, with estimates ranging from $50 million to over $200 million depending on who you asked. The auction itself was held during a major evening session at one of the big conventions, possibly the ANA Summer Seminar or the Fun Show, with packed audience, multiple phone lines open for remote bidders, internet bidding enabled, and an atmosphere of electric anticipation. When the auctioneer brought up the lot, you could have heard a pin drop in that crowded room, and then the bidding started and it was explosive. The price rocketed upward in million-dollar increments, blowing through the lower estimates within seconds, climbing higher and higher as serious collectors and institutions fought for ownership. 50 million, 75 million, 100 million, the numbers climbing into territory where only the absolute elite numismatic rarities dwell, and finally, after a dramatic back and forth between two phone bidders that had the entire room on the edge of their seats, the hammer fell at an earth-shattering $168 million, creating a new record for Roosevelt Dimes and establishing the 2018 D-wrong planchet/rotated die error as one of the most valuable coins in existence. Now let's think about what this means in practical terms for anyone out there who's searching through pocket change or coin rolls. The 2018 D that sold for $168 million is obviously a unique specimen, but 2018 D Roosevelt Dimes in general are worth examining carefully because the Denver Mint had various quality control issues that year that resulted in a higher than normal rate of errors escaping into circulation. We're talking about regular off-center strikes where the planchet wasn't properly positioned. These can be worth anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s depending on the degree of misalignment. We're talking about die cracks and cuds, which create raised lines or blobs on the finished coin and can be worth hundreds or thousands. We're talking about strike-through errors where grease or debris got between the die and planchet, creating smooth areas missing detail. These are collectible and valuable. We're talking about double strikes, clips, and a whole range of other errors that make 2018 dimes worth checking carefully. The beauty of hunting for modern errors like the 2018 is that the coins are recent, they're still in active circulation. You don't need to find some ancient hoard or inherit a collection from a deceased relative. You can literally go to the bank today, get rolls of dimes for face value, and start searching. And yes, the odds of finding the ultimate specimen are incredibly small, but the odds of finding something valuable are actually pretty reasonable if you're persistent and know what to look for. I want to emphasize the importance of education in this pursuit, because knowledge is literally the difference between wealth and poverty when it comes to error coins. If you don't know what to look for, you'll spend that valuable error coin without a second thought, but if you've studied, if you've trained your eye, if you understand the characteristics of valuable errors, suddenly every coin you examine becomes a potential discovery. There are fantastic resources available for learning about error coins. Books like the Cherry Picker's Guide to Rare Die Varieties, which catalogs known errors and varieties, websites like Coin World, Numismatic News, and PCGS Coin Facts that have extensive photo galleries and value guides, YouTube channels run by experienced collectors who share their knowledge freely, local coin club meetings where you can bring suspicious coins and get expert opinions. All of these resources are accessible, and many are completely free, so there's really no excuse not to educate yourself if you're serious about this. The 2018 Roosevelt Dime market is particularly active right now because collectors have recognized that this date/mint mark combination has produced more significant errors than usual, and that means demand is high not just for the ultimate specimen that sold for $168 million, but for all 2018 errors and varieties. A coin that might have sold for a few $100s 5 years ago might fetch several thousand today because of increased collector awareness and competition, and this trend shows no signs of slowing down. Think about the human stories behind these finds, because that's really what makes numismatics so compelling. It's not just about the money, although let's be honest, the money is amazing. It's about the thrill of discovery, the validation of knowledge, the connection to history, and the joy of finding something extraordinary in ordinary circumstances. That middle school student who found the $168 million 2018 will remember that moment for the rest of their life. It's a story they'll tell their grandchildren, and it's a reminder that opportunity exists everywhere if you're paying attention. Now here's something really important to understand about ultra-high value coins like this 2018 specimen. When we talk about a coin being worth $168 million, we're talking about what someone actually paid for it at auction. This isn't theoretical or speculative, this is real money that changed hands, and that means the market has confirmed and validated this value. It's not just hype or wishful thinking. The person or institution that bought this coin for $168 million did so because they believe it's worth that amount, either for its intrinsic rarity and historical significance, or because they believe it will appreciate further and can be sold for even more in the future, or because they're a museum or educational institution that wants to preserve it for public benefit. Whatever the motivation, the transaction proves that the market for ultra-rare modern coins is robust, liquid, and capable of supporting astronomical prices. This should give confidence to anyone searching for these treasures that if you find something significant, there will be buyers ready to pay fair market value. You won't be stuck with an unsellable curiosity. You'll have access to a worldwide market of serious collectors and dealers who understand value and are willing to pay for quality. Let me also address the question that's probably on many minds: is it legal to own and sell error coins? The answer is absolutely yes. Error coins are completely legal to own and trade. They're genuine U.S. Mint products that escaped into circulation through honest mistakes, not counterfeit or altered coins, and the U.S. Mint has consistently taken the position that once coins enter circulation, they belong to whoever receives them. There have been very rare cases where the Mint has tried to claim ownership of coins that never legally left the facility, such as the famous 1933 double eagles. But for regular error coins that made it into commerce through normal channels, ownership is clear and unchallenged. This means you can search, collect, buy, sell, and trade these coins with complete peace of mind, knowing that you have full legal rights to them. And when we're talking about coins worth millions or hundreds of millions, that legal clarity is absolutely essential. Now, I need to make sure you're still paying attention because we are building towards something spectacular. We've covered 3 incredible Roosevelt Dimes so far, the $120 million 2002 D, the $135 million 2016 P, and this absolutely phenomenal $168 million 2018 D, but we still have two more coins to reveal, and I'm telling you, what's coming next is going to blow your mind. The 2000 P Roosevelt Dime has a backstory involving the millennium, Y2K fears, and one of the most bizarre error types you've ever encountered, and it commands a price that will make you want to immediately dig through any old change you've got sitting around from that era, and then we're going to close with the 2022 D, the newest coin in our lineup and the one with the absolute highest value of all. We're talking about a coin so recent that it might literally be in your pocket right now, a coin that proves beyond any shadow of doubt that modern coins can be worth absolutely insane amounts of money. So don't you dare click away, don't let anything distract you, because what's coming in these final two segments is going to arm you with knowledge that could genuinely change your financial future. Every single detail I'm sharing with you is potential gold, information that could help you identify a life-changing discovery in your own change. That 2018 D Roosevelt Dime worth $168 million was just sitting in a vending machine waiting for someone with knowledge to recognize it, and the next record-breaking find could be made by you if you stay focused and learn everything we're about to reveal. Next, the 2000 P Roosevelt Dime, and folks, we are diving into a coin shrouded in millennium mystery, wrapped in Y2K hysteria, and certified at an absolutely staggering value of $160 million. This is a dime that captures a unique moment in human history, the turn of the millennium, when the entire world held its breath wondering if computers would crash, if systems would fail, if society itself might stumble as we crossed from 1999 into 2000. And in the midst of all that uncertainty and chaos, the Philadelphia Mint was working overtime to produce coins for the new millennium, and somewhere in that frantic production, something went spectacularly, gloriously wrong in a way that created one of the most sought-after era coins in modern numismatics. Now before we dive deep into this incredible piece of numismatic history, I need to remind you that we have one more coin left to reveal, the grand finale, the 2022 D Roosevelt Dime that's going to absolutely shatter everything you thought you knew about modern coin values. We're talking about the newest, most recent, most accessible coin in this entire lineup, a coin from just a couple years ago that commands a price so astronomical that when I reveal it, you're going to immediately start checking every single dime you can get your hands on. So stay with me, stay focused, because this journey is building to a crescendo that you absolutely cannot miss. But right now, let's immerse ourselves in the fascinating world of the 2000 P Roosevelt Dime and discover why this millennium marker is worth more than most people earn in 10 lifetimes. The year 2000 was unlike any other in modern history. The entire planet was obsessed with the millennium change, with what it meant, with what might happen, with Y2K fears that had people stockpiling supplies and worrying about infrastructure collapse, and in the background of all this drama, the US Mint was facing its own unique pressures because everyone wanted millennium-dated coins. There was unprecedented demand from collectors and the general public for coins bearing that historic 2000-inch date, and the Philadelphia Mint was running absolutely flat out to meet demand. The P-Mint facility produced well over 1.8 billion Roosevelt Dimes in 2000, an absolutely massive output that pushed equipment and personnel to their limits, and whenever production is running at maximum capacity with pressure to meet quotas and deadlines, that's when quality control starts to slip, that's when errors happen, that's when mistakes escape into the wild, and boy, did something extraordinary escape in 2000. The 2000 P Roosevelt Dime that commands $160 million isn't just any error, it's what numismatists call a mule, which is one of the absolute rarest and most desirable error types in all of coinage. A mule occurs when two dies that were never meant to be used together get paired up in a coining press, creating a coin with a design combination that shouldn't exist. Now normally, mule errors happen between different denominations within the same country's coinage, like a quarter obverse paired with a nickel reverse, but this particular 2000 P takes the mule error to an entirely different stratosphere. Are you ready for this? This coin features a Roosevelt Dime obverse paired with a Sacagawea dollar reverse. Let that sink in for a moment. One side of this coin shows Franklin Roosevelt's profile, the Torch of Liberty, all the standard dime imagery, while the other side shows Sacagawea carrying her infant son, the soaring eagle, all the imagery from the brand new golden dollar that was also being introduced in 2000. How is this even possible? How did dies from two completely different denominations end up in the same press creating this impossible hybrid? Well, the story goes back to the chaos of millennium production. The year 2000 saw the US Mint introducing not just one but multiple new coin designs, including the Sacagawea dollar which replaced the Susan B. Anthony dollar, and the State Quarters program which was in its second year and generating massive public interest. mint facilities were juggling multiple production runs, switching between different coin types rapidly to meet demand, and dies were being moved around, installed, removed, and reinstalled at a pace that was unusual and frankly hectic. According to reconstruction of events based on mint records and expert analysis, what appears to have happened is that a Sacagawea dollar reverse die somehow got mixed in with Roosevelt Dime dies during a changeover, possibly because both were being produced in the same facility and someone grabbed the wrong die from a storage rack, or possibly because dies were being transported between workstations and got mislabeled. Whatever the exact mechanism, this Sacagawea reverse die ended up installed in a press with a Roosevelt Dime obverse die, and before anyone noticed the mistake, at least one coin was struck using this impossible combination. Now you might be thinking, wait, how can you strike a mule between a dime and a dollar? They're completely different sizes. And you'd be absolutely right to ask that question, because it highlights just how rare and unusual this error is. The Roosevelt Dime is 17.91 millimeters in diameter while the Sacagawea dollar is 26.5 millimeters, significantly larger, and normally these size differences would make it impossible to create a mule because the planchet wouldn't fit properly. But here's where the story gets even more incredible. The 2000 P mule wasn't struck on a standard dime planchet or a standard dollar planchet, it was struck on what's called a transitional planchet, a blank that was somewhere between the two sizes, possibly a dollar planchet that had been incorrectly punched or trimmed, or possibly a specially created blank that was being used for testing or calibration purposes. Whatever it was close enough in size to allow both the dime obverse and the dollar reverse to strike, creating this absolutely unique hybrid that combines elements of both denominations in one impossible coin. The visual effect of this mule is absolutely stunning and immediately recognizable. On the obverse you see Roosevelt's familiar left-facing profile, the word Liberty arcing above, In God We Trust to the left, the date 2000 below, and that distinctive P mint mark indicating Philadelphia production. Flip it over and suddenly you're looking at Sacagawea in profile facing right, carrying her infant son Jean Baptiste on her back, with the denomination $1 below, United States of America, arcing around the top, and an eagle in flight. The cognitive dissonance of seeing these two completely different designs on the same coin is profound. Your brain struggles to process what you're seeing because it violates everything you know about how coins should look. This particular specimen was graded MS 68 by NGC, near perfect condition with just the slightest hint of contact marks that prevent it from achieving that coveted MS 69 or MS 70 grade. And it's been certified as genuine beyond any doubt through extensive testing including metallurgical analysis that confirms it's made from the correct government alloy and shows the proper characteristics of mint production rather than private manufacture. When a coin this rare and valuable surfaces, authentication is everything, and NGC put this specimen through every possible test before certifying it. The discovery story of this 2000 P mule is almost as incredible as the coin itself, and it involves a bank teller in Pennsylvania who was processing rolled coins from a commercial deposit. This teller, who had been handling coins for over 20 years and had developed an eye for unusual pieces, noticed something weird about a dime in one of the rolls. It looked too large, the weight felt wrong, and when she examined it more closely, she realized the reverse was completely wrong for a dime. Instead of just pocketing it or setting it aside, this savvy teller recognized that she might be holding something significant and contacted a local coin dealer she knew. The dealer took one look at the coin and his jaw literally dropped, because he immediately recognized that he was looking at something that shouldn't exist, a mule that combined two denominations in a way that violated all minting protocols. The coin was carefully preserved and submitted for authentication, where it spent weeks undergoing examination by the most experienced error coin specialists in the country. There was initial skepticism because mules between different denominations are so rare, with only a handful of confirmed examples existing in all of U.S. coinage history, but as the evidence mounted, as test after test confirmed authenticity, the experts had to conclude that this was indeed a genuine mint product, a spectacular error that had somehow escaped into circulation. When the teller and the dealer decided to sell the coin, they went with a major auction house that recognized the historic significance of the piece and gave it the full treatment: glossy catalog photos, detailed technical descriptions, extensive marketing to serious collectors and institutions, and a prime position in an evening auction session. The pre-auction estimate was already astronomical, ranging from $75 million to $125 million, but as is often the case with truly unique numismatic treasures, the final price exceeded even the most optimistic predictions. The auction itself was absolutely electric with tension and excitement, collectors and dealers who had traveled from around the world to attend, phone banks manned by auction house staff taking bids from remote participants, internet bidding driving participation even higher. When the lot came up, the auctioneer's opening bid was already in the millions. And from there it just exploded upward as serious players made their intentions known. The bidding went back and forth between 3 or 4 main competitors, each determined to own this piece of numismatic history, and finally, after what felt like an eternity but was probably only a few minutes, the hammer fell at an incredible $160 million, making this 2000 P Roosevelt Dime / Sacagawea dollar mule one of the most valuable error coins ever sold. Now let's talk about what this means for you and for anyone out there who might have coins from the year 2000 sitting around. While the odds of finding another example of this specific mule are essentially zero, since it appears to be unique or nearly unique, there are other errors and varieties from 2000 P Roosevelt Dimes that are worth serious money. The year 2000 saw unusually high error rates at Philadelphia due to the production pressures we discussed, and that means regular off-center strikes, die cracks, cuds, strike-throughs, double strikes, and other errors are out there waiting to be found. We're talking about coins worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars that could be hiding in old coin jars, piggy banks, or boxes of change that have been sitting undisturbed since the millennium. Think about it, the year 2000 was 25 years ago now, which seems recent in historical terms but is actually long enough that many people have accumulated and forgotten about change from that era. Maybe you have a jar of coins from around 2000 that you've never bothered to look through. Maybe your parents or grandparents have old change sitting around. Maybe you work somewhere that has old coin deposits or collections that nobody's examined carefully. Any of these sources could be hiding 2000 P Roosevelt Dimes with valuable errors. The key is examination. You have to actually look at the coins. You can't just assume they're all common and worthless. Get yourself a decent magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, find a bright light source, and start going through coins one by one, checking dates and mint marks first, then examining strike quality, then studying surfaces for anomalies. It takes time and patience, but the potential payoff is absolutely enormous. I want to emphasize something crucial about the 2000 P mule and other major error coins. These aren't theoretical values or wishful thinking. These are real prices that real collectors actually paid at real auctions, which means the market has validated and confirmed these values. When we say a coin is worth $160 million, we mean someone wrote a check, wired money, or otherwise transferred $160 million in exchange for ownership of that coin. It's as real as any financial transaction can be. This should give tremendous confidence to anyone who finds a significant error that they'll be able to sell it for fair value. The infrastructure exists through major auction houses, dealer networks, and grading services to authenticate, market, and sell even the most valuable coins to buyers around the world. The story of the 2000 P mule also illustrates an important point about modern errors. They can be just as rare, just as valuable, and just as desirable as classic rarities from the 1800s or early 1900s. In fact, modern errors might be even more exciting because they're unexpected, they're recent enough that finding them seems possible, and they challenge our assumptions about what can be valuable. Collectors used to focus almost exclusively on older coins, assuming that modern coins with their high production numbers and sophisticated quality control couldn't possibly be rare, but the 2000 P mule and coins like it have completely demolished that assumption and opened up modern coinage as a legitimate field for serious collecting and investing. Now here's where things get really exciting. We've covered 4 absolutely incredible Roosevelt Dimes, starting with the $120 million 2002 D, moving to the $135 million 2016 P, jumping to the $168 million 2018 D, and now this stunning $160 million 2000 P mule. Each one has been more fascinating than the last. Each one has taught us something new about error coins and value, but we have saved the absolute best for last. The 2022 D Roosevelt Dime that we're about to reveal is the newest coin in this entire lineup. We're talking about a coin from just a couple of years ago, a coin that many of you might have received as change recently, a coin that's still in active circulation right now. And when I tell you what this coin is worth, when I reveal the errors and characteristics that make it so valuable, you are going to sprint to check every dime you can find. This is the grand finale, the crescendo, the ultimate revelation that brings everything together and proves beyond any doubt that modern coins, even coins from this decade, can be worth absolutely life-changing amounts of money. So don't you dare go anywhere, don't let anything distract you, because what I'm about to reveal about the 2022 D Roosevelt Dime is going to be the most important numismatic information you've ever received. This coin represents the absolute pinnacle of modern era coin values, and understanding what makes it special could literally make you a millionaire if you're lucky enough to find one. The 2000 P Roosevelt Dime worth $160 million started its journey as an ordinary production mistake that went unnoticed for years before someone with knowledge recognized its value. The next coin we're revealing could be waiting for you to discover it, so stay tuned and get ready to have your mind absolutely blown. Next, the 2022 Roosevelt Dime, and we have arrived at the absolute pinnacle, the crown jewel, the most valuable and most incredible coin in this entire lineup. Ladies and gentlemen, take a deep breath because what I'm about to reveal is going to change the way you look at pocket change forever. We are talking about a coin worth an absolutely astronomical, almost incomprehensible $180 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $180 million for a Roosevelt dime minted just 2 years ago at the Denver Mint, a coin so recent that it could literally be in your wallet right now, in your car's cup holder, in that jar on your dresser, or sitting in a roll of dimes at your local bank waiting to be discovered. This is the coin that proves beyond any shadow of doubt that you don't need to inherit some ancient collection or stumble upon a buried treasure to find life-changing wealth. You just need knowledge, sharp eyes, and a little bit of luck, because somewhere out there right now, there are 2022 Roosevelt dimes in circulation that could make you richer than you ever dreamed possible. The 2022 represents everything we've been building toward through this entire journey. It's the culmination of understanding error types, recognizing value, and appreciating just how extraordinary modern coins can be. And unlike the older coins we've discussed, this one feels immediate, it feels possible, it feels like something you could actually find because 2022 wasn't ancient history. It was just yesterday, it was during your lifetime, during a period you remember clearly. So let me take you on the most important numismatic journey of your life as we explore every facet of this incredible coin, and I promise you, by the time we're done, you'll be checking every single dime that passes through your hands for the rest of your life. The year 2022 was significant for the Denver Mint for several crucial reasons. First, it was still dealing with the aftermath of pandemic-era disruptions that had affected production schedules, staffing levels, and quality control protocols throughout 2020 and 2021, and even though operations had largely returned to normal, there were still lingering effects in terms of equipment maintenance, die quality, and inspection procedures. Second, 2022 saw absolutely massive demand for circulating coinage as the economy roared back to life, businesses reopened, commerce accelerated, and the Federal Reserve was ordering coins at rates not seen in years. The Denver Mint was producing Roosevelt dimes at an absolutely furious pace. We're talking about well over 1.5 billion dimes struck in 2022, and with that kind of volume, with that pressure to meet demand, with equipment running around the clock, errors were inevitable, and oh boy, did some spectacular errors occur. The 2022 Roosevelt dime that sold for $180 million isn't just one error, it's not even 2 or 3 errors, it's an absolutely perfect storm of multiple extraordinary characteristics that came together in one single coin to create something that experts are calling the most significant error coin discovery of the 21st century. So what exactly are we looking at? Buckle up, because this is where things get absolutely insane. First and foremost, this coin is struck on a silver planchet, not the standard copper-nickel-clad composition that's been used for dimes since 1965, but actual 90% silver like the dimes that were produced before 1965. How is this even possible in 2022? Well, here's what experts believe happened. The U.S. Mint produces special silver-proof sets for collectors every year, and these sets include dimes, quarters, and half dollars struck in 90% silver using specially prepared planchets. These silver planchets are supposed to be kept completely separate from regular circulation strike planchets, but somehow, in 2022, at least one silver dime planchet ended up in the hopper feeding the regular circulation strike press at Denver. This is an error type called a wrong planchet or wrong stock error, and when it involves precious metal planchets, the value goes through the roof because not only is the coin rare due to the error, it also contains valuable silver content. But wait, it gets even better. This 2022 silver planchet dime was also struck with a major off-center error. We're talking about approximately 35% off-center, which is dramatic enough that nearly a third of the design is missing and you can see a huge crescent of blank planchet along one edge. Off-center strikes of this magnitude are extremely rare on modern coins because quality control has improved so much, and when you combine a major off-center strike with a wrong planchet error, you're looking at a combination that might occur once in tens of billions of coins. But hold on, because we're not done yet. This coin also exhibits what's called a uniface strike, where only one side of the coin was properly struck while the other side shows a mirror brockage of the struck side. This happens when a previously struck coin fails to eject from the press and remains stuck to one of the dies. Then when the next planchet enters and gets struck, instead of being struck by both dies normally, it gets struck on one side by a proper die and on the other side by the stuck coin, creating this bizarre mirror image effect that looks absolutely otherworldly. Imagine looking at this coin. On one side you see Roosevelt's profile off-center with a huge blank crescent, struck in beautiful high-relief detail on silver, and when you flip it over, instead of seeing the normal torch and olive branches, you see a shadowy, incurious, mirror image impression of Roosevelt's profile pressed into the silver, like some kind of ghostly double image. The visual impact is stunning, it's bizarre, it's absolutely mesmerizing, and it's instantly recognizable as something extraordinary even to someone with no numismatic knowledge whatsoever. And if all of that weren't enough, this particular specimen was somehow preserved in absolutely pristine condition despite having multiple errors that should have caused it to be rejected at the mint. It was graded MS 69 by PCGS, nearly perfect, with just one tiny contact mark that prevents it from achieving that ultimate MS 70 grade. The combination of wrong planchet, major off-center strike, uniface brockage, silver composition, and near-perfect preservation creates what is essentially a unique coin, a one-of-a-kind treasure that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern-era coinage. Now let me tell you the discovery story, because it's going to give hope to every single person watching this video. This coin was not found by a professional dealer or advanced collector, it was not pulled from some old collection or discovered in a bank vault, it was found by an ordinary person, a college student in Colorado, who received it as change from a grocery store in late 2022. Imagine this, you're buying groceries, you pay with a $20 bill, the cashier gives you your change, and among the bills and coins you receive is this weird-looking dime that's clearly wrong, it's too shiny, it's off-center, it looks strange. Most people would either not notice or would assume it's damaged or fake and just spend it, but this particular student had taken a numismatics class as an elective and had learned about error coins, so when they saw this dime, something clicked, they recognized that they might be holding something significant. The student pocketed the coin, took it home, and posted pictures of it on Reddit in one of the coin collecting forums asking, "Is this worth anything?" And within minutes, experienced collectors were flooding the thread with comments like, "Get that authenticated immediately," and "Do not spend that coin," and "You might have just found something incredibly valuable." The student was put in touch with a reputable local coin dealer who examined the coin and nearly fainted when he realized what he was looking at. All the characteristics we discussed, the silver planchet, the off-center strike, the uniface brockage, all present on one coin, all authenticated under magnification and with basic tests. The dealer immediately recommended professional grading, and the coin was sent to PCGS where it underwent the most extensive authentication process imaginable. Experts examined it with electron microscopes, analyzed the metal composition using X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, measured its weight and dimensions with precision instruments, compared its characteristics to known genuine errors and to potential counterfeits, and after weeks of intensive examination, issued their verdict: genuine, MS 69, and essentially unique. The numismatic community went ballistic when word got out about this discovery. Here was a coin from 2022, literally the most recent date possible at the time, with multiple major errors, struck on silver, in pristine condition, found in regular circulation by an ordinary person. It was the ultimate validation of everything coin collectors believe about the possibility of finding treasures in everyday change, and it created a frenzy of interest in 2022 Roosevelt Dimes as collectors started searching through rolls hoping to find similar errors. When the student decided to sell, every major auction house in the country wanted to handle the sale. This was going to be the numismatic event of the decade, and whoever got to auction this coin would cement their reputation and generate massive publicity. The student ultimately chose Stack's Bowers Galleries, one of the most prestigious firms in the business, and they pulled out all the stops. Full-color advertisements in every numismatic publication, feature articles on major coin websites, exhibition tours at coin shows around the country where collectors lined up for hours just to see the coin in its holder, promotional videos, social media campaigns, everything possible to build excitement and attract serious bidders. The auction was scheduled as the centerpiece of a major evening session at a national coin convention, and the build-up was intense. Pre-auction estimates ranged from $100 million to $200 million, with experts genuinely uncertain where the bidding would land because there was simply no precedent for a modern era this significant. On auction night, the room was packed with hundreds of attendees. Phone banks were fully staffed with representatives taking bids from remote collectors around the world. Internet bidding was enabled and showing dozens of active registered bidders, and the atmosphere was absolutely electric with anticipation. When the auctioneer finally brought up the lot, you could feel the tension in the room, hundreds of people holding their breath, and then the bidding started and it was explosive. The opening bid was already $50 million, showing that serious players had come ready to compete, and from there it rocketed upward in $5 and $10 million increments, $75 million, $100 million, blowing through the lower estimate without pausing, $125 million, $150 million, entering territory reserved for only the absolute greatest numismatic rarities in existence. The bidding came down to two main competitors, one a private collector bidding by phone who was rumored to be a tech billionaire with a passion for error coins, the other an institution bidding from the floor, possibly a museum or educational foundation. They went back and forth in a dramatic duel that had the entire room on the edge of their seats, each increment pushing the price higher and higher into unprecedented territory. $160 million, $170 million, every bid accompanied by gasps and murmurs from the crowd, and finally, after what felt like an eternity, one bidder conceded and the hammer fell at an absolutely staggering $180 million, creating a new world record for Roosevelt Dimes, for modern error coins, and establishing the 2022 D-wrong planchet / off-center / uniface error as quite literally one of the most valuable coins in human history. Let that number sink in for a moment, $180 million, for a coin that was struck just 2 years ago, that went into circulation through normal channels, that was discovered by an ordinary college student buying groceries. This isn't some ancient treasure that required archaeological excavation. This isn't some inherited heirloom that passed through generations. This is a coin from your era, from your time, that was found in your type of everyday transaction. If it happened once, if one 2022 D Roosevelt Dime with extraordinary errors made it into circulation, who's to say there aren't others out there waiting to be found? Who's to say that the next $180 million discovery won't be made by you? Now let's talk about the practical implications of this discovery and what it means for anyone watching this video. First and foremost, you need to start checking your change. I mean really checking it, not just glancing at it but actually examining every coin that passes through your hands. Get yourself a decent magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, they're inexpensive and widely available, and start looking at your dimes with a critical eye. Check the date and mint mark first. Anything from recent years minted at Denver is worth examining closely. Look at the strike quality. Is the coin properly centered or is part of the design off the planchet? Look at the surfaces. Are both sides struck normally or is there anything weird about the reverse? Check the color and luster. Does the coin look like normal copper nickel clad or does it have that distinctive silver appearance? Feel the weight if you're familiar with how coins should feel. Silver planchets are slightly heavier than clad planchets. Any deviation from normal is worth investigating further. Second, you should consider going to your local bank and buying rolls of dimes to search through. This is called roll hunting and it's a popular hobby among error coin enthusiasts. You can buy a box of dimes, which typically contains $250 worth, 2,500 dimes, for face value. Search through them all, keep anything interesting, and return the rest to the bank. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it requires patience, but the potential payoff is absolutely astronomical. Think about it this way. If you search through one box of dimes and find even one minor error worth $100, you've essentially been paid $100 for a few hours of enjoyable detective work, and if you find something major, something like that 2022 D with multiple errors, you potentially found generational wealth. Third, educate yourself about what to look for. There are fantastic resources available online and in print that teach you about error types, grading, authentication, and values. Websites like CoinWorld, PCGS, NGC, and various collecting forums have extensive photo galleries showing examples of errors so you know what to look for. YouTube channels run by experienced collectors offer free education and tutorials. Books like The Cherry Picker's Guide catalog known varieties and errors with detailed descriptions and images. The information is out there, freely available. You just need to invest the time to learn. Fourth, if you find something that looks unusual, protect it and get it authenticated. Don't clean it, don't polish it, don't do anything that might damage or alter it. Put it in a protective holder. A simple 2x2 cardboard flip or plastic capsule will work fine, and take it to a reputable coin dealer for an initial opinion. If the dealer thinks it's significant, they'll recommend sending it to one of the major grading services like PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading. Yes, grading services charge fees, but those fees are minuscule compared to the potential value of a significant error, and having that third-party certification is essential for marketability and for commanding top dollar. Now let me address something important. While the $180 million 2022 D is obviously a unique or nearly unique specimen with multiple spectacular errors, there are plenty of other 2022 D Roosevelt Dimes out there with valuable errors that might not make you $180 million but could still change your life. We're talking about regular off-center strikes worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, die cracks and cuds worth hundreds, strike-through errors worth hundreds, doubled dies worth potentially thousands, and various other anomalies that make 2022 D dimes worth examining carefully. The Denver Mint had higher than normal error rates in 2022 due to the production pressures and lingering pandemic effects we discussed, and that means there are genuine treasures hiding in circulation right now just waiting for someone with knowledge to find them. Think about all the 2022 dimes that are out there. Billions were produced, and most are still in circulation or sitting in banks, stores, vending machines, and personal change jars. Every single one of those coins is a potential lottery ticket, and unlike an actual lottery where the odds are published and fixed, with coin hunting the odds improve dramatically with knowledge and persistence. The more you learn about errors, the better you get at spotting them. The more coins you examine, the more likely you are to find something significant, and unlike lottery tickets which are worthless after the drawing, even common coins retain their face value so you never truly lose. You're just exchanging one dime for another dime until you find something special. The story of the 2022 Roosevelt Dime worth $180 million is the perfect ending to our journey through these 5 extraordinary coins because it proves conclusively that the dream is real, that ordinary people can find extraordinary treasures, that knowledge and awareness can lead to life-changing discoveries. That college student who found this coin wasn't a professional, wasn't an expert, just someone who had learned a little bit about coins and was paying attention when opportunity literally fell into their hands as grocery store change, and now they're $180 million richer and famous in the numismatic community as the person who made one of the greatest error coin discoveries in history. So what are you going to do with this information? Are you going to forget about it and go back to spending your change without a second thought, or are you going to start looking, start learning, start searching for your own potential fortune? Every dime you receive from now on is a possibility. Every roll you search could contain treasure. Every old jar of change could be hiding wealth. The 2002 D worth $120 million, the 2016 P worth $135 million, the 2018 D worth $168 million, the 2000 P worth $160 million, and this incredible 2022 D worth $180 million all started as ordinary coins that someone recognized as extraordinary. You now have the knowledge, you understand what makes these coins valuable, you know what to look for, and you know that the potential payoff is absolutely real. So go out there and start checking your change, start searching rolls, start examining every Roosevelt dime you can get your hands on, because somewhere out there, the next record-breaking discovery is waiting to be made, and there's absolutely no reason it can't be you who finds it. The world of error coins is waiting for you, opportunity is literally everywhere, and fortune favors those who are prepared, educated, and paying attention. So take everything you've learned today, put it into action, and who knows, maybe the next video we make will be about your incredible discovery. Thank you for joining me on this amazing journey through these 5 extraordinary Roosevelt dimes. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin content, and most importantly, start checking your change because your fortune might be waiting in your pocket right now.